Welcome to all, and this is the part 10 of an Angular tutorial, and also it is the continuation of part 9. So in part 9 we have seen about the interpolation, and in this tutorial we discuss about the property binding in Angular. So one thing I want to tell you, here we are using double quotes for the interpolation, but we can also use single quote, right? And save our changes and see the output. So nothing will be changed. So we can either use single quote or double quote. So what is nothing but property binding? So we have seen interpolation is all about moving the data in one direction, that is from class properties to HTML element properties. So property binding is also deal with the same thing, that is moving the data in one direction, that is from class properties to HTML element properties, but it has some different syntax. So we can also say that property binding is the primary way or one way of binding the data in Angular. So we can simply, for property binding, we can simply use these square brackets to our HTML properties. That is, we can enclose the source property of image element within square bracket and simply use our property in single quote. That is, instead of interpolation, we can simply write this property within the single quote and save our changes and see the output. Nothing will be changed. So this is the syntax for property binding. So important point to keep in mind is that both interpolation and property binding flows the data in one direction, that is from class properties to HTML properties or HTML element properties, but both has different syntax. So we should know where to use interpolation or where to use property binding. Suppose we want to concatenate two strings, then we must use interpolation. Take one example. Suppose we want to concatenate this first name and last name. So for that we write here one h1 element and then simply write within the interpolation first name and then last name. Sorry. And then last name, or put some space and simply write hello and save our changes and see the output, hello Tom Jerry. So if we want to concatenate two strings, then we must use interpolation. Then, or we should also do for this, suppose we want to delete this command X and write the here instead of imagePath. And simply we write here interpolation and write this imagePath here. And suppose here we use interpolation, so square bracket should be removed and save our changes. We expect the same output of image. So see here we have the same image. So this is actually in interpolation we use. Then where to use property binding? So if we want to set the element of property to a non-string data value, then in that case we must use property binding. That is here, sorry, here h1 element is not close. No, not the problem, but we should write the actual coding. So here we write one button. We take one button and set disabled property of button, and here we write one property, that is disabled. Is disabled is of type boolean and equal to right value, suppose true, and then semicolon. Property second type 2 is not assignable to type boolean. Okay, and we should simply write this property here, command V, and here we use disable property. So enclose within this we use property binding, so enclose within this square bracket and simply write the button name, submit, and then enclose and save our changes. Sorry, we write this actual syntax. So see the output, and we expect the output, that is button is disabled, and you see here button is disabled. And if we write here false and save our changes, and we expect the output is enabled, so we see button is clickable. And if we want to see if we not using property binding, then what is the output? We delete the square brackets and simply write the interpolation syntax and save our changes. Suppose we write here true, save our changes, and we expect the button as disabled because true. We expect an output is correct. And suppose we write here false, save our changes, then see the output. We expect the output is enabled, button is enabled, but still it is disabled. So this is the problem with the interpolation. So important point is, if we want to set an element property to a non-string data value or a boolean value, you must use a property binding. So we should be use here property binding for the correct output. And save our changes and see the output button is clickable. We can simply write this or fix this issue, or we can simply write this is disabled is equal to false, and it shows also the same output. So friends, we see here actually where to use interpolation and where to use property binding. So the only things to keep in mind is that syntax of interpolation and syntax of property binding. So to use the property binding, we should must enclose the property name within the pair of square brackets, and to use the interpolation we should use the uh, double curly braces to write the property name within the curly braces. So thank you friends for watching my video, and if you have any queries please ask and comment on that. Thank you.